What's up everybody, MattyMo here, and it's that time again. You're up for a new phone and you've heard all these great things about Samsung. They've added metal, they stepped up their display game, and the S Pen is even better than it was before. Maybe you're coming from an iPhone or another Android device, or perhaps you just want something significantly bigger, but you can't decide between the two because you're not sure which device is best for you. Don't worry, we've got you covered in our Samsung Galaxy S6 versus Galaxy Note 4 comparison. The Galaxy Note 4 takes design cues from the Galaxy Alpha, showing the transition from Samsung's past of plastic phones to their future of all metal and glass. The sides of the Note 4 are metal with chamfered edges, giving the phone a very secure feel in the hand. The faux leather plastic back is removable, allowing you to easily swap batteries and insert a micro SD card. The Galaxy S6 shows off Samsung's new outlook, which focuses on their vision of a more premium design. An all-metal chassis surrounds the body, sandwiched between two panes of Gorilla Glass 4. Where the back of the Note 4 slightly sticks out, the GS6 is nice and flat, except for the protruding camera, which we'll get to in a little bit later. The back is non-removable though, which will bother some die-hard Android fans. Both of these phones have the same traditional button layout. The volume rocker sits on the upper left-hand side of the phone, and the power button rests on the right side at the perfect place to meet your thumb. If you like to use your phone without a case, you'll find the Galaxy S6 can feel slippery in the hand. And when you're holding the phone, you'll find the beautiful glass on the back likes to keep copies of your fingerprints. Speaking of fingerprints, they both have a fingerprint scanner. With the Galaxy S6, you simply have to touch the home button, while the Galaxy Note 4 requires you to swipe down on the scanner. The Note 4 solution works, but not nearly as fluid and reliable as the S6 is. The Note 4 and Galaxy S6 both have top-of-the-line Super AMOLED displays, and they also share a couple of common characteristics. They're both Quad HD with a resolution of 2560 by 1440, which produces sharp and vivid visuals. The 5.7-inch screen on the Galaxy Note 4 houses 515 pixels per inch, whereas the GS6's 5.1-inch screen has 577. Even though the latter has more pixels, you won't be able to tell the difference in the details. Both offer wide viewing angles, great outdoor visibility, saturated colors, and a handful of different display modes to choose from. But if you want to know which screen is the best overall, the Galaxy S6 is closer to having more accurate color representation. But don't fool yourself, the Galaxy Note 4 is not lagging far behind. Next up is battery life, and we first have to talk about numbers. The Galaxy Note 4 has a 3220 mAh battery, which is much bigger than the 2550 mAh battery inside of the Galaxy S6. However, the Galaxy S6 does have more efficient hardware, but the big question is, does that efficient hardware make that much of a difference? If you're a light user, the Exynos in the Galaxy S6 does a great job idling, but if you're a heavy user, then you'll find the battery life to diminish quite quickly. I'd show you guys battery benchmarks, but the problem with benchmarks is they don't really show how the phone performs on a day-to-day basis. The Note 4 had no problems lasting the whole day and still had enough juice to go throughout the whole night. Whereas the Galaxy S6, I barely made it to 9 PM before I had to find a charger. The good news is that both phones do support quick charging. Needless to say, the Note 4 has much better battery life. However, one perk the Galaxy S6 has is support for Qi and PMA wireless charging. Both phones are running Android 5.0.2, and I suspect once they get upgraded to Android 5.1, we should see a boost in battery life performance. When it comes to performance, the Galaxy S6 just screams. It's fast, fluid, and still manages to pack a punch. The 64-bit Exynos 7420 SoC is Samsung's in-house design, and it's one of the fastest phones on the market today. It also happens to be using a 14nm design process, which lowers power consumption. The Note 4 came out in October of 2014, which means it's using an older chipset and scores lower in sheer performance. But don't let that discourage you. The 32-bit Snapdragon 805 processor is still very capable and handles everything quite well, including the latest games. Now, if you're wondering which phone is more future-proof, it's definitely the Galaxy S6. Even though both phones have 3GB of RAM, the Galaxy S6 is using DDR4 technology, which is faster and more energy efficient than the DDR3 RAM in the Note 4. Now, if you must have expandable storage, then you're better off going with the Note 4. The Galaxy S6 has 3 different versions of the phone, starting at 32GB and making its way up to 128. The Note 4 comes standard in 32GB with a micro SD card slot, allowing up to 128GB of extra storage space. Android has always been behind the iPhone in the camera department, and when the Note 4 came out, it had the best camera on an Android phone at the time. The problem was that even though the Note 4 had the best camera hardware, image processing was off and you would end up with pictures that were over-sharpened. The funny thing is, the Galaxy S6 shares the same camera module as the Note 4, which is the Sony IMX240 sensor with 16 megapixels of resolution and an aspect ratio of 16:9. The major difference is that the Note 4 uses an f2.6 lens, whereas the Galaxy S6 uses f1.9. You'll get more detail with the Note 4, but you'll get better low-light photos with the S6, and the software processing on the S6 has been so fine-tuned that you'll always get great photos. The Galaxy S6 camera processes images faster, opens the camera faster, and overall takes better photos. In fact, the photos are so good that some would argue it's better than the iPhone 6. I'm sure Samsung could fine-tune the image processing on the Note 4 with a simple update and add the ability to double tap the home button to open the camera. They both have a great camera, but if the camera is the most important thing to you, then the Galaxy S6 is the clear choice. Both of these phones are running Android 5.0.2 and use Samsung's TouchWiz theme. The GS6 is using its latest version, and there are some small differences between the two, one of them being when you double tap the home button. On the Galaxy S6, it'll take you directly into the camera, but on the Note 4, it takes you into S-Voice, which is Samsung's alternative voice assistant. They both support S-Health and have built-in pedometers, UV light sensors, and a heart rate monitor which is on the back next to the camera. However, I found the overall user experience between both devices not to be the same. I found the odd lag and stutter between switching menus on the Galaxy Note 4, whereas the GS6 was always fast and fluid. But the biggest difference between both of these devices is the S Pen. The Note 4 has its own stylus that allows you to write memos, draw pictures, and be used in a multitude of productivity apps. For a lot of people, this is why they buy the Note 4. For that S Pen functionality. Power users swear by the stylus and find themselves flocking towards the Note line each and every time. So what's the bottom line then? The Galaxy S6 has a more premium design, is easier to use with one hand, has a much better camera, and is a faster device. Whereas the Galaxy Note 4 has better battery life, more functionality, a removable battery, and the ability to add extra storage. I can't really say which smartphone is best for you, as it really comes down to personal preference, but let us know in the comments below which one you prefer. This is a collaboration between my YouTube channel and MobileSyrup. If you guys want to check out my YouTube channel, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description down below. Also, if you want to see more of me on MobileSyrup, make sure you leave a comment down below saying you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Feel free to like and share, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see everybody in the next episode.